Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with another new episode and a new recipe from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very interesting and very delicious. Why? Because this recipe has originated from the Mughal kitchens of the subcontinent. Back in the day, as you know, that the Mughal Empire had a very strong influence on the culture and the food culture of Pakistan. Why? Because when they migrated from the roots of Samarkand and through Afghanistan and came to KPK and to the areas of Punjab and Sindh, they brought different cultures together and they brought all the ingredients from all these various places and new recipes came into being. So as everyone knows that Shah Jahan, the most famous emperor due to his Taj Mahal which he made in Agra for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, was a very interesting emperor. Why? Because he loved culture, he loved food and he loved history, and he was very apt about learning new things, new cultures and new ingredients from the neighboring countries and from his states which he was actually conquering. On the other side, Mumtaz Mahal, his wife, was a very famous and a very glorified cook back in the day, but she used to usually cook for the royal kitchen, which was preparing the meals for the king, not for the other people. Why? Because back in the day, the queen only used to cook for the king and not for the other royal people in the Baradari. Baradari was the word which was used back in the day, which is actually known as the court or the king's court of the current day. So this recipe was very close to Mumtaz Mahal. Why? Because back in the day, she made this recipe with the lamb meat, goat meat, or you can say the desi murgi, which is also known as the wild chicken. But nowadays people use poultry. This recipe was changed when it came to the coastal areas of Pakistan, which is related to Balochistan and Sindh. Why? Because the coast is distributed between these two provinces, and this recipe came into being when the Baloch people of the coastal area, the Makran coast area, integrated the shrimps into this. Shrimps have been a part of Pakistani culture for the longest time. Why? Because it comes from the sea, and everyone knows that 91% of all the seafood is exported from the Asian countries, and Pakistan is one of those leading countries which has been exporting a lot of seafood, and mainly that comprises of shrimp and good squid, and nowadays they're also collecting clams, oysters, and you can say all the exotic fish which is actually found in the state or the city of Gwadar, which is nowadays very famous for its production in seafood. Okay, so this recipe was fine-tuned, you can say, by the people of the Makran coast. Why? Because shrimp was widely used over there, and since then it has been widely accepted, widely loved in the city of Karachi and also in the main cities of Pakistan such as Islamabad, Lahore, Peshawar, Multan and Hyderabad, which is also another city of Sindh. What are the ingredients for today's recipe? We're making the prawn masala biryani. Prawn masala is a very famous recipe, and how it was converted into a biryani, I'll teach you today. It has a lot of ingredients. What are the ingredients? I'll give you a quick rundown. So the masala or the spices first, which we will be using for today, are cumin powder, coriander powder, garam masala, turmeric powder. Then we'll be using black cardamom, which are the bigger versions of the green cardamom, and also we'll be using the green cardamom. Then we're using star anise, cinnamon sticks, salt to taste, some lemon, but lemon will go towards the end. Then we're using clarified butter, which is also known as ghee, around half a cup, not 1 cup. Then you need some fresh green chilies. We will shred some ginger and garlic and use it in the recipe. Then you need around 3 cups of rice. We're using Sela rice. There are 2 forms of rice which you'll find in a supermarket. There is basmati rice, which is called the king of rice. Then you'll find Sela rice, which is actually known as the queen of rice. Why? Because Sela rice doesn't break down once you start cooking it. Okay, the other ingredients are, you need 1 onion finely chopped, and towards the end you need 4 tomatoes finely chopped also. And you'll need around half a kg, 500 grams of prawns, and around a cup of yogurt, which will be used towards the end. So now we shall start cooking. So the first things that we need to cook are the spices, the masalas. So I'll get a frying pan and we shall start it over here. Keep the frying pan here, increase the heat to medium, not too high, and I shall just reduce the heat over here and add the ghee. Once the pan comes to heat, we'll add the ghee. So we'll keep the pan on around medium heat. The heat goes down and we shall start using the onion. You just need 1 onion, not 2 onions. I keep 2 onions. Why? Because you should always have a backup, because you never know what comes out from inside at times. Okay, so I shall just chop these, pass the knife through it, and finally chop it. So in some versions of the biryani you do not use the onions, and in some versions of the biryani you do. So this version does use the onion. Why? Because when we use seafood, what we need to do is we need to use a vegetable or a spice that can overpower the, you can say, the strong, it's not the smell, but a strong taste. Why? Because in biryani you need to balance the flavors out very nicely, very properly. Some people don't use the onions, but the coastal regions do use it. There's another reason why people use all the vegetables. The reason is the vegetable that is grown in that area will always be used by the locals over there. Why? Because now, because globalization has increased and people are trading a lot, that people can have access to all the ingredients. But back in the day when the recipes were perfected, they were perfected with the ingredients which were easily available in that area. So back in the day, onion and tomatoes was something which were easily available in the coastal areas. So you'll see a lot of recipes which will be using these 2 things as for the ingredients a lot. Okay, so firstly we add the ghee, the clarified butter. The pan is hot. Let it melt down. Once it melts down, we shall add the onions in it. So it has melted down. Firstly, what you'll do is you'll add the onions and you'll let it get translucent. By translucent I mean it needs to get soft but not brown, because if you convert it into a brown color onion, what will happen is the texture will change, the flavor will change, and the whole recipe will taste completely different. Okay, so pass the onions inside now. You can hear the sizzling sound. Add like a pinch of salt, not too much. Why? Because we just want the onions to start sweating. Give a lid and let it cook for like 2 to 3 minutes on low heat. So till the time this is cooking, what we'll do is we'll start shredding the other ingredients which will directly go into this. First we need some ginger. We need the shredder. This goes over here. Finely shred it. And this is it. So keep the remaining on the side, shake it, and now put around 4 pieces of garlic to the shredder and shred them too. So I'm mixing both of them. Why? Because we want a mixed paste or a mixed shredded texture for the recipe. This is done. Take the garlic, throw it in the bin, shake it a bit, and remember, if at times the ginger sticks, just put your hand in and pull it. This is done. Put it over here. Now what I'll do is I'll add some spices, but first I'll rinse my hands. And as you can see, the onions are translucent now. So first what we'll do is we'll just dry our hands out and start adding the spices. Firstly, what you need to add the cumin, which I'll add over here. Then I'll add the coriander powder on this side. I'm not mixing them right now. Then I'll add the garam masala. Not too much, just half of the quantity which I've put. Why? Because I've just added a little more. Then you need to add the turmeric and let it fry for now. So you don't need these anymore. Keep it on the side and start mixing them. Take a spatula. Fry them right now. Why? Because once you fry them, the flavor is going to be better and it's going to come out nicely. Just give it a lid and let it cook for like 30 seconds. So till the time this is happening, what we'll do is we'll put the water to boil. So I'll just take a wok, keep it over here, increase the heat to full, and add around 1.5 liters of water. Why? Because I want to boil the rice. So remember, once the water comes to boil, then only you should add the rice. Never add rice to cold water. This is done. Give it a lid and let it come to boil. So till the time this is boiling, let's come back here and add the ginger garlic which we just freshly shredded. Look, if you want to use the shredded paste which actually comes in a packaged thing. You can use that also, but let me tell you, the flavor of fresh ginger garlic is completely different and you cannot compare it with something which is bottled. I've mixed this properly. So this recipe will be made in like 2 to 3 parts and you have to follow all of them. Now what you shall do is, you shall add the tomatoes. So we need to chop them. I'll give it a lid, reduce the heat to low and chop the tomatoes. We'll take around 4 tomatoes and just chop them. So take the eye of the tomato out. And this goes in the dustbin. Keep your counter clean, keep it organized properly and you'll be able to cook perfectly. Otherwise, if you have a lot of clutter, you won't be able to cook. Okay, just slice them and pass your knife through it like this. They'll get chopped properly. Pass your knife through like this. I'll just quickly chop all of these and then we shall add them to the paste. If you think your knife isn't sharp, it's always best to sharpen it. Why? Because a sharp knife goes a long way. You need the perfect cut. See, now because it's finely sharp, my knife is passing through the tomatoes perfectly. Okay, this is done. Now the tomatoes go in. The masala is smelling beautiful. Transfer the tomatoes and let them break down. Increase the heat to full, bring it up. I'll rinse my hands till then. And now start mixing it. Okay, give it a lid, let it cook for 5 minutes. Until the time this is cooking, what you'll do is, you'll cook the rice. The water has come to boil. Pick up the rice, but before that, add around half a teaspoon of salt. Remember, your water needs to be really salty so that the rice grain, every piece of grain is salted perfectly and has a different flavor. Add the rice, just add some more water, spin it around, try not wasting it. Once it comes to boil, count for 8 minutes and then it's done. Till the time this is cooking, we'll go for a short break and once we're back, we'll complete this recipe. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. During the break, I did nothing basically. I was just waiting for you. The tomatoes have cooked down properly. We're gonna mash them. And on the other side, the rice is cooking. Let's give it another 5 minutes because I just took 5 minutes off from the screen. You can see the tomatoes are done. I'll keep this over here on the grill. And let me just move it once. Mix it up. Now, start pressing them down. You want them to convert into a paste. Spin it around. Mash them properly. And this is done. Now what you need to do. Now firstly you'll add a few spices. You need to add around 4 pieces of the black cardamom. Then we add some of the green cardamom. We'll use the remaining later, so I'll keep it on the side. Add just a piece of star anise, 1 piece, and now mix it up. This is done. Now what you'll do is, you'll get the yogurt and put it in this. Open the cling wrap, transfer the yogurt into this, and mix it up properly. I'll use a spatula now. Once this comes to boil, which is almost there, what we'll do is we'll add the shrimps. Now remember one thing, whenever you're adding prawns or shrimps, you do not overcook it. Just give it like 3 to 4 minutes and take it out. Why? Because then you'll add it into the rice and you'll give it another 5 to 6 minutes over there. So if you overcook it over here, it's going to get really rubbery and you won't like the texture of it. So now this has come to boil. Just open the shrimps, toss them here, keep this on the side, and just mix it up. Fold them. Now, because you know we just added a bit of salt, not too much, so now I'll add around half a teaspoon of salt. Mix it again. And give it a lid for 2 minutes. On the other side, the rice is also done. So what I'll do now is I'll take the water out of the rice and I'll wait for this, and then I'll show you what to do next. So as you can see, now this is done. I'll take the lid off, give it another minute. Why? Because I want the yogurt to dry down. So till the time this is drying down, what I'll do is I'll just prepare another thing. So you need 1 tomato. Keep this on the side and you shall slice it. I took the rice out of the water. You can see every piece of rice is nicely individually cooked. So what you'll do is take the quarter part of the tomato out. You won't use it, keep it on the side, and just make slices of the remaining tomato. This is done. The eye of the tomato goes on the side. I'm preparing for the final dish out. Okay, so now you need around 4 green chilies, and you shall finally chop them. We shall assemble the biryani now. This is done. Now you'll take a lemon. I'll cut it from the center. It smells beautiful. I'm going to make slices of the lemon. And this is done over here. When it's done, take it off the stove. Keep it on the side, and now start assembling this beautiful dish. Okay, so now you want a fresh wok. Keep it over here. Bring the wok to heat, so I'll just switch it on again. And the ending steps. You don't need the lid. First, we shall add some oil, around 3 to 4 tablespoons. Spread it out. Why? Because we need to add the rice at the bottom. First goes the rice. So do not heat it too much. You just want it to be a little hot. Okay, so half of the rice goes in. Reduce the heat now immediately. The remaining half goes on the side. Now take a spatula, spread it out like this. And now we go with the sauce we've made. Shake it up and put it on top. This goes here. It should spread out equally. Now, whatever you've used goes on the side. Start assembling it. Take the lemon wedges, place them in. Take the tomatoes, spread them out. Take the green chilies, add them. And now the remaining goes in the dustbin, which is the part you won't be using. Now you need some fresh mint. So I'll just start plucking the mint leaves in front of you. We shall take around 15 to 20 pieces of the mint leaves. This is done. Now spread them out. Okay, now what you need is you need the green cardamom to go in. Take around 3 to 4 pieces of star anise. And add the remaining rice on top. Spread it out properly. And just covering it like with a lid. This is done. Keep it on the side. Take the lid, place it on top, increase the heat to full for a minute, not too long. Clear out your station. And then reduce the heat to low. Now I'll let this cook for 5 minutes, and once it's done, I'll dish it out in front of you. Keep waiting. So as you can see, what I did was I just gave it around 5 to 6 minutes. Now I'll just give you a recap. Why? Because you need to know how to do the rice perfectly well. So what I did was I cooked the rice for 8 minutes. Now the rice wasn't completely cooked, it was 75% cooked. The way you make pasta, you leave a little dot in between, or you leave it like, a bit tough. Why? Because when you add the sauce into it, it cooks more. Likewise, when you do the rice for the biryani, what you need to do is you need to cook it like 75-80%. Once that is done, you put it for steaming, and the remaining 20% will be cooked. So that's what I did. Always cook your rice 75 to 80%, and then you should assemble it layer by layer. First, you should add the oil. Once the oil is there, you should add the rice. Why will you add the oil first? Now that's the question. You cannot go down without the oil. Why? Because the oil is the only reason the rice will not stick to the pan. If the rice starts sticking to the pan, the texture of the whole recipe will change and it won't taste good at all. Okay, so that's what all I did, and then I steamed it for another 5 to 8 minutes, and the reason behind that is I added star anise, I added the green cardamom, I added some mint leaves, I added the tomato slices. So now the 5 to 6 minutes which I've given it for steaming is basically cooking all these ingredients with the steam. So now, and the other thing is, whenever you add the curry or the gravy on top, what happens is it leaves water. You can see there's water vapor over here. This is the water which was in the gravy, which evaporated, and now I shall use it. Okay, whenever you're taking the lid off, do not let all the water drip back in. Take it off on the side, and you can see there's so much water. Now, this is done. I will start dishing it out. Switch it off, bring this over here, and just dish it. Always start scooping it from the base. And as you can see, the white rice will get mixed with the flavored rice, and the prawns are going to come in between also. And I've served for 3 people right now. I cooked for around 4 to 5 people. I've served for 3 people. So today's recipe, delicious, quick and easy, is done. I'll see you in another episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself. And if you have any questions or any queries, whenever you watch our show on our YouTube channel, Indus News, you can go and comment it over there, whatever you want to learn or whatever you want to add in the new recipes to come. You can let me know over there. I hope you liked today's episode. I'll see you in another episode. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.